Hey friends, my very special guest today has a story that I've wanted to share with you for a really long time. Joel Costello is a personal trainer with over 14 years experience in the fitness industry, training sports stars, lawyers, entrepreneurs, celebrities, students, and the list goes on. He runs health retreats, of which I've had the absolute joy of being a part of, as well as teaching on. And on his weekends, he makes community fundraising for really important causes, a huge part of his life as well. So he does so much. In March 2020, life changed for Joel when he underwent brain surgery, leaving him with some major physical deficits and having to learn how to do the simple things that most of us take for granted. So things like walking, eating, and seeing clearly. Joel, your story is definitely one that inspires me every day for a number of reasons. And I really feel like it will do that for people in my community too. So welcome, mate. It's lovely to see your face.
Oh, it's so good to be back. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I can hear my kids downstairs going a bit feral at this time of the day.
Yeah, of course. You're juggling 15 balls at once as usual.
Yeah.
No, but thank you for the intro. It's lovely to reconnect, and yeah, it's been a challenging 2-3 years. So, but you know what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. So
absolutely.
You know, I'm very lucky and grateful. I've had a few obstacles thrown my way, but yeah, I see them as challenges where I grow from. So yeah.
Can you dial back the clock a bit for us and share what the road was from when you first discovered that you had a brain tumor to when you went in for brain surgery?
Yeah, so it all started about 10 years ago. I was out running with a client, and out of nowhere, I got this overwhelming dizziness and I couldn't stand up. Had no idea what was going on. I just thought, oh yeah, maybe I haven't eaten enough carbs today. Maybe I'm dehydrated, blah, blah, blah. Cancelled the PT session, went home, and then didn't know what was going on. From that day on, I started getting dizziness pretty much all day, every day. I went for like 2 years not knowing what was going on. I jumped from like naturopath to specialist to naturopath to specialist. No idea what was going on. Finally, I went to an ear, nose, and throat specialist in North Sydney. He checked my ears, he checked my nose, checked my throat. He's like, Joel, you're fine. Let's just get an MRI of your brain just in case. And then bang, that's when we found it. I remember I was working at the gym I was at the time, and I was at reception, and my mobile phone kept ringing. And I'm like, oh, what's going on here? He's like, look, we've found something on your MRI. Can you please come in and see me today? And I go, wow. I go, look, is it serious? He goes, well, look, it shouldn't be there. And then that kind of started all the fears of like, is it malignant? Is it cancerous? What's going on? And basically the specialists I was going to, they're like, look, it's in a very hard to operate place in your brain, but it does look really serious and it does look quite nasty was the word he used. And I'm like, oh, here we go. So they couldn't biopsy it because if they cut into where it was, it would throw my balance out of whack, my swallowing, my vision, all that kind of stuff. So for months and years, we didn't know how severe it was. I then decided to basically reach out to Charlie Teo and just see if he could look after me, because I'd heard from so many friends and colleagues how well he looked after this situation. So I went and saw him, exact same advice. He goes, look, mate, if I cut into your brain, it's going to throw your fitness out of whack. Let's just monitor it over the years and see what happens. And then in February 2020, it grew. So he's like, look, mate, we basically have to cut in and get it out. Otherwise, you know, your heart and lungs are going to stop and you're going to die. And I'm like, well, that's an easy decision. He goes, look, you're not going to be able to walk. You're going to have really weird coordination on your left-hand side of your body. You may lose your swallow sensation. And at the time, I'm like,
how does that happen?
Swallow, yeah. But looking back, the swallowing's been the hardest thing to kind of reteach myself. So yeah, March 11, 2020, we went in for surgery, and then bang, life changed. So the day before that, I was doing burpees, I was running up and down staircases, I was doing all this. And then for a good 3 months, I couldn't even stand up. So I teach myself A, to stand up, B, to walk. I still can't really run, like I can, but it's weird. But yeah, the swallow sensation, like not being able to swallow food and drink was really, really bizarre. And even saliva. Like even now, it builds up and I have to like focus on swallowing. But imagine going 3 hours with no food, or going 3 days or 3 weeks. I went 3 months, no food. And like, I love food, Toblerone especially. So yeah, it was a massive challenge. And the funniest thing, the timing of it, my surgery was like 3 days before COVID outbreak. So I was in hospital, no idea what COVID was. My mum's like, your gym just closed. And like, I used to work for a massive commercial gym company.
Yeah.
And I couldn't fathom that they'd closed down. And my mum's like, not just your gym, like basically the entire country is closed. So I'm in hospital, basically can't see, couldn't walk, can't swallow. My mum's telling me that the world outside's closing down. I could only have one visitor at a time. So my parents would drive from Wollongong up to Randwick. Then my mum would come in for an hour. I'd talk to her.
Yeah.
She'd go out. My dad would come in for another hour. So yeah, it's been very interesting.
That in itself,
too.
though, like to not have your support people right next to you when you're trying to work through these major like physical sort of impairments that the surgery has left you with is huge, because it's that connection that helps you heal as well, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And I've always looked up to my parents as my role models and my strength, and like they were the best source of strength. Like every day to like, Joel, just take things one day at a time. Because initially, like, I'll be honest, I felt like a vegetable. Like I couldn't see, I couldn't eat, I couldn't move, I couldn't stand up. Like it was quite hard. And I had really bad light sensitivity. So I was pretty much sitting in the dark room all day long.
Yeah.
So having them come up every afternoon, making a 2-hour drive up, 2-hour drive back, it was the best. So yeah, I'm so grateful to have them.
Well,
it's been quite tough and difficult without them.
Absolutely. And that sort of leads me into another question. You know, you're highly motivated from, being in the fitness industry, just your personal motivation to support your community. These moments where you're sitting in a dark room and you're figuring out how to just be kind of functioning in a basic level again. Did you have some sort of like, what kind of dark moments did you have, not just from the light, but dark mentally? And what was it, when mum and dad weren't there, what was pulling you through all of that?
I honestly am very lucky that my brain defaults to quite positive and optimistic. But yeah, I was sitting there for days going to myself, I'm never going to get better. I'm never going to get over this. All I craved for was to hear stories of someone else in my position that had gotten better.
Yeah.
So as soon as my nurse would walk in, or my surgeon or my doctor, I'd be like, am I going to get better? Tell me, have you got other patients that have improved, blah, blah, blah. So I was craving and yearning for that person that had gotten better. So that's what I'm trying to do now, is on my YouTube channel and my Instagram, I'm totally dedicating that towards brain trauma and balance disorders. And I want to be that person that proves to someone else who might be going through what I went through now, yes, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. I'm not saying I'm ever going to run a marathon again. And I'm not saying that walking up and down stairs isn't difficult, but from where I was to where I am now, much better place. So yeah, there were very dark days, and I questioning progress, but we eventually got there.
Yeah.
Just having to take things very, very slowly.
And you
one day at a time.
Yeah, you need that light, don't you? And so it's so infrequent sometimes that people suppress a lot of their experience. It's not spoken openly enough without the realization that perhaps if you do speak more openly, it just makes you human, and it can potentially be that moment that lifts someone else out of that darkness. So
absolutely. Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What role did you find that nutrition played in your recovery?
It was very interesting. So how's this, right? I lost 16 kilos in 2 weeks.
Oh, gosh.
Because my entire muscle mass just atrophied. I couldn't stand up. So my quads just went. So because I couldn't eat, I had to get basically a feeding tube put into my stomach. So there was a hole cut through my stomach into my stomach. And I was basically having protein shakes all day long into this tube. And then my nutritionist like, Joel, look, you got to put weight on, you got to put weight on, you got to put weight on. So it was quite an interesting journey. And as I started to begin to eat whole foods again, it was all high calorie and quite not nutritious food. We're basically going calorie.
Calorie
So I was eating lots of
dense.
pasta, ice cream, yeah, just to put on and give my body some form of energy. So as I started to get better at swallowing, like I was just craving salads and veggies and just vitamin, nutrient dense food that I felt like I needed. Like, it'll sound bad, but I was sick of eating pasta and custard and ice cream, like stuff that was easy to swallow and was highly calorie dense, just to put on some weight. I just could not wait to just have something simple like lemon and spinach and all this stuff that was quite hard to eat. So yeah, at the moment, touch wood, like I can eat everything, but it's a mission. Like, it takes me a lot longer to eat foods, which is quite good because I don't eat as much because ghrelin kicks in after about 20 minutes. And I realize, oh, I don't need to eat all the food. And then, yeah, I'm really enjoying food again because, yeah, like going 3 months without it was a nightmare.
Makes you more conscious and connected to it, right?
Hugely, yeah. And I can definitely tell now when I do eat foods that aren't nutrient dense, my mood and energy levels just drop. So like, let's say I have Easter, for example, like, don't get me wrong, smashed heaps of chocolate, bang, felt terrible for a week.
Yeah.
So I'm like a candle now. Like, I can tell when I eat well, I feel great. When I don't, yeah. So I don't like to say there's bad foods and good foods, but nutrient foods, just my body reacts far better with. So yeah, I can notice it.
Yeah. How do you feel your experience with the tumor and with surgery and you know, you've been, as you say, you've been less with some major sort of physical deficits. How do you think that sculpted who you are today? But actually, before we go into that, what are these sort of physical deficits that you speak of? Like,
so there's three major ones. The biggest one is balance. So the best way the best analogy, the left-hand side of my body's drunk and the right-hand side of my body's fine.
Interesting.
So I kind of walk like a bit of a penguin, but that's improving massively. Going up and down stairs is difficult, and my left hand is quite uncoordinated and it has a tremor. So let's say you and I went down to the pub to get some beers, right? I would go to the bar, I'd buy 2 beers. I'd have to carry them back one at a time because if I carried one in my left hand, I'd spill it everywhere. So yeah, that balance and coordination is number one. Then the second one, which is quite weird, is the eyesight in my left eye. The sight improves and deteriorates all day long. So at the moment it's fine.
Yeah.
But like later tonight, if I went like that, everything's blurry. But when both my eyes combine, like I can see perfectly fine, which is great.
Yeah.
And then the final one is, my swallow. So swallowing food. For example, I can't scull water or do a shot or swallow anything quickly. I've got to take my time and really be meticulous with chewing and swallowing and being quite mindful. Like, I've had incidences where I've nearly choked to death. So that was quite hectic. And you know, my old housemate, Luke, so he's had to like save my life twice. So thank you, Luke.
He's a legend.
Because I didn't have the functionality in my throat to swallow the food down.
Yeah.
And it didn't know if I wanted to go down or up. So I was like choking with food in the middle of my esophagus twice. Wow. So yeah, thankfully he was around to come and dislodge it. So they're the three major deficits: my balance, my eyesight, and my swallowing. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, fortunately, mate, we're not going down to the pub for beers, so you don't need to worry about carrying any beers to my table. But I far more enjoy lapping up and down the 440 with you and working on your walking and your balance that way instead.
Yeah, no, that was a good day. So yeah, the more steps I take, the better I get at it. Yeah. So it's just reps on reps, really.
Yeah. It's just retraining, you know, muscles and nerves and things, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. Like the brain has so many pathways in it, or like I like to think of as like highways. If we don't do things, these highways go dormant and they don't get used, and therefore it makes things difficult. So I try and walk as much as I can. I'm doing resistance training in a rehab every day, but it's this funny balance between pushing myself and not going too hard because my brain surgery has caused severe fatigue. So yeah, I'm kind of like trying to find a balance between doing enough but not doing too much. Otherwise, I'm burnt out and I crash out for a week. So yeah, it's an interesting balance. Yeah.
And I've seen you doing some training as well. You've got some photos of you training down at the well, and just I think what's beautiful and what's inspiring as well, aside from the depth of your story, is that you really do offer perspective for people. It's like, you know, I used to be able to do X, but I've experienced this now, and this is what I can do now. So I'm grateful for that. And that's,
absolutely.
Honestly, it's that small thing, certainly for me, that it's like, gosh, if you can do it, if you can learn to walk and swallow and see and do all these things all over again, those moments when I'm lacking the motivation, I'm like, come on, Jack, like someone else is going through a much tougher thing than you. You just need to get out the door and appreciate and be grateful for what you can do, instead of focusing on the things that you maybe had in the past or what you can't do right now. Just what can you do 100%. In this moment that's going to make you feel $1 million? And
exactly
you
right.
really do. That's just what pops out to me from your, you know, the way you speak and the messages that you share. It's like, focus on what you can do right in this moment.
Couldn't have said it any better. That's literally the motivation I use, because I think to myself, there are people out there worse off than me.
Yeah.
I just say to myself, move because you can.
Yes.
Like, I can walk. I can't go for a run. I can't go and do Coogee stairs with you, but I will one day. And even if it's walking, I'm still going to get up and down. I mean, like, I do what I can, but again, with that balance of not pushing too hard. Like, if you had said to me on the 12th of May, 2020, March, you know, you're going to be able to go down to the well, you're going to be able to do a leg press, you're going to be able to do some lunges. It's a actual like gift and a joy to be able to work out. So I just do what I can.
Yeah.
Oh,
you're a wise man.
And it's lucky. It's like, don't get me wrong, I'm human. Some days I just want to hit the alarm, hit snooze. Like, I don't want to go to the gym. It's cold, it's dark. But again, like, I've come so far, I would feel guilty if I didn't use the movement and mobility that I currently have now. So
and the momentum that you've developed from being persistent with showing up,
absolutely.
right? You know, and focusing on doing what you
absolutely.
can.
100%.
There are people out there, I know I've shared parts of your story in the past, just very briefly through my Instagram, and I've had people reach out and, you know, their son was going through something similar and it really did lift them at the time. What's a little parting word of wisdom to someone who may be about to go through what you have done, is about to undergo surgery or something of that nature?
Yeah, I've got two. No one's story or recovery journey will ever be the same. So don't compare yourself to me or someone else. Just go through your journey, surround yourself with the people that you love, and they will help you. And my second part is take things one day at a time.
Yeah.
Don't get ahead of yourself. Don't try and go, oh, I need to go for a run, or I need to have my coordination now. Just focus on right now, what you can do today. And don't put pressure on yourself, because it's going to do no one any harm, any good. So just basically move forward at your rate and don't compare yourself to anyone else. But if you find people like me or others that have gotten through it, use them as inspiration. But don't go, oh, after 6 months, Joel was eating again. Everyone's story and recovery will be different. Some may be faster than mine. Some may be slower. You don't know. The brains are very mysterious and crazy and very cool things. So recovery is always different, but take things one day at a time, for sure.
Know that everything will unfold as it should.
Put things into perspective. So there's always someone worse off. So there'll be days when you're in that dark place. Just think to yourself, someone else is in a far worse off place, and it kind of puts you back level. And you're like, oh, all right, I've got this opportunity. I've not passed away from a brain tumor. I've got a second chance. I can walk. I'm not paraplegic. Like, there are far, far worse off people out there. So put things into perspective every single day, for sure.
Yeah. Oh, it's a beautiful 3 parting words of wisdom. You're amazing. Hey, where can people find you? What's your Instagram handle or your website if they want to reach out and connect with you?
Easy. So Instagram is Joel Costello PT. So JOEL Costello PT for personal training. And then from there, jump into my link tree. I've got a Facebook group, which you can follow the link and add yourself to. I never try and sell anything. I just try and impart my wisdom, whether it be brain surgery, whether it be balance, whether it be nutrition, PT, whatever. I'm pretty old. I've got a lot of experience. You can also go into my link tree on Instagram and find my YouTube channel. And yeah, I've got a soon to be released website where I'm going to try and basically offer people that have brain trauma or balance issues to follow the program that I've been following. So that's nearly done.
Yeah.
So I'll let you know when that's all 100% up and running.
Amazing.
And that will be discoverable in my link tree on Instagram as well. Just check out Instagram.
Yep. I'll put that as a link in with the video as well. Mate, thank you so much for your time and for your story and sharing it. I always get more insight the more I read or hear from you. And truly, like, I know I've tried to do this with you a few times now, but it for whatever reason, there's been a little bump in the road and we haven't, but I'm so stoked that we've been able to do it today. And I'm so thankful.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
For seeing you.
Oh, David, straight back at you. You're an inspiration to me. So you're juggling 15 balls, 3 kids, a million things going on. So yeah, you're very humble.
One day at a time, my friend. One day at a time.
Exactly.
All right. I hope to see you soon in person and come and do some of your fundraisers as well. Thanks so much, buddy.
Let's do it.
All right.
All right, Jack. See ya. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.